on the 5150 show. As ever, we're always grateful for the support that you guys give us here on the channel. Especially grateful to our brother Nelson for throwing out some gift memberships. We're a small channel, and we certainly appreciate the support that you guys can give us. Happy to pass on any information that you guys want from this side of the screen. If you have any questions about anything that we do here, or if you've got any questions about running your own YouTube channel in the future, happy to pass on any of the lessons that we've learnt. YouTube don't make it easy, and with the new terms and conditions that came out a couple of weeks ago, yeah, we'll see what happens. I'll be honest and upfront with you. YouTube is about sharing information and the passion that you have. That's fundamentally what it's for. So, a couple of things I want to share with you guys here. This is a copy of Van Halen's 1984. It's my copy. It's the old original copy. I want to show you guys this because on the channel we've done about maybe half a dozen shows on this wonderful album, and just recently we had Chris Gill on and Greg Renoff and the usual guys on the 5150 show on the Van Halen side of things do 2 parts to the show. I'm just going to let that call carry on. Sorry for interrupting your guys' viewing. And we've got one more part of the show planned, probably next month some stage. So keep an eye out for that. We'll have a few guys on and a couple of special guests. Hey Greg, good to see you. And hey Simon, good to see you as well. So we've got a couple of special guests coming on that. So we look forward to that conversation. That'll probably go for about 3 or 4 hours. I'll keep you guys updated. I won't tell you who the guests are going to be because we haven't quite nailed two major players. So I won't let the cat out of the bag. But I'll share it here with you guys here on the Insiders when we do. John Conklin's doing some remarkable work. There is an author of a book, and forgive me, I forget the title of the book, and I forget the author, but I will attach those details here. He came out with a book a couple of weeks ago discussing the experiences and thoughts of the 84 Van Halen tour. So we're going to have him on the channel talking about his book too. So we've got some more book interview stuff going on. If you've been following me on social media, especially my Facebook page, you would have seen about a week ago, I asked you guys to do some voodoo so that I could procure this EB420 bass. It worked. I managed to get it. I probably paid, I'll share it, probably paid maybe $300 more than what I should have. I don't know. But it is a Greco. 1977, made in the Fuji Gen factory. I am a bit of a Greco fan. This is the second Greco I've got. This is the lawsuit era where obviously they're copying the Gibson headstock. Not every Japanese guitar that was made around the 70s were great guitars. A lot were though, but not every guitar. And I think this guitar, from my point of view, might be just a little bit under the great guitars. It's got what they call a mudbucker pickup. So if you look at a standard humbucking pickup, hold on, I'll draw it for you. Hold on, give me a second. Okay, I'm back. So a standard humbucker pickup is like this. And you have your two. Okay, can you see that? The mud, and that sits on your, in a little, you know, in whatever, you know, that plastic frame. The mud bucker pickup is like that, but it's on the side. If you will. So instead of being horizontally flat like that, it's turned on the side 90 degrees, both of them. And that's why you've got them wider, because you've got humbuckers, instead of sitting there flush like they would normally, they're 90 degrees. Does that make sense? And this here is what they call a mini humbucker. So someone's just sent me a message that makes no sense. Yeah. No secret, guys. I'm a Jack Bruce fan, Andy Fraser fan. Fantastic. I put a new set of flats on here. Just oiled the fretboard. That's it. Raised the action a little bit. But I did something silly. If you have a look there on the nut, and you can see that there, I broke the string. So lucky I went to Boy Scouts and learned how to do knots. I wasn't going to buy a new set. So I've tied that on there. So when I restrung this, these two strings here fitted in the slot well. But when I went to tune these strings here, the G and the D string, the slot wasn't wide enough for the gauge of the strings. And I was turning it and it wasn't putting tension on. And then I realized, oh my gosh, when I broke the string, I had to take them off, get a file, and I just filed that out. I don't have a bass amp here at work. I did on Friday. But man, what a killer. What a killer pickup this is. Just playing through a Rumble 100. So much more different than just playing through a standard P90 or a jazz bass pickup. You can understand why some of those British guys especially loved that Gibson EB bass, because it kept up with the power of their guitar players. Now this here is, I think it's a great thing, but this is not a short scale. Jack Bruce and Andy Fraser played short scale EB basses. This is 34 inch, not 30 inch, so it's, you know, a little bit longer than their ones. But nevertheless, from an investment point of view, I think I've done pretty well. You know, 50-year-old guitar, Japanese guitars, doing pretty well. Keeping up with the big boys. Andy Carson, good to see you, bro. Thank you for hanging out with us. Derek Clacton is in here, the rock professor. Thank you guys for joining us here. Fantastic. Greg Roberts Tunes, good to see you, bro. I've been talking to Jazz Thunder Flash, also known as Jim Guys, today. He's going to be coming on doing some guest Rankins with us. We nailed it down. He's going to pick, he gave us a selection of albums, and I nailed them down to 2. We're either going to do Derek and the Dominoes in concert or John Mayall's Crusade album, the one that starred Mick Taylor on guitar. I'd like us to do that one, personally. We'll see what he picks, because that means we would have done the Beano, the second album with Peter Green, Hard Road, and Crusade. So Derek and the Dominoes live is definitely on my list eventually for us to do, so we'll get around to it. We have a bit of a joke live, don't we? You know, these albums. When are we going to run out of albums? I think that's about it. That's all I have to share with you guys. I think I'll bring my amp, my bass amp, to work tomorrow, and we'll do some sound tests. And we'll check out this Greco EB bass. I think you guys will be amazed. And, you know, again, like I said, you know, if you're a Jack Bruce fan, we had that conversation last night on the channel. I think it was Crappy Luxury made this comment about John McVie being excellent and Jack Bruce being a genius. I think from that point of view, I think he got it right, because Jack Bruce wrote songs and Jack Bruce sang. But that doesn't discount, obviously, the contribution that McVie still does. Yeah, thanks, Andy. I think the version we'll do, Derek, we'll do the famous one where the photograph at Hurtwood and Jim Gordon's wearing Bobby Whitlock's Daniel Boone shirt. I think he is. I think that's the one that we'll do, probably. But I wouldn't mind doing we'll let Jim make that decision. Sweet bass. G'day, Ryan. Good to see you, brother. Yes, it is a sweet bass. It's definitely a keeper. So much so that I sold my Hofner to help fund it. As you guys know, I quite happy to move guitars on. There's certainly guitars that you will keep in your collection, but the Hofner was a great guitar. It was just a cheap Chinese one. Did a little bit of work on it. Had to get the frets leveled and crowned, and that cost a couple of $100 to do that by a local guy. Because, I'm going to swear here, even for a $800 Chinese guitar, there's no excuse for the frets not to be leveled. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable. They should at least be leveled. So it was buzzing everywhere. So I did that. What else did I do? I put a Bassman sticker on it, a couple of other bits and pieces, played it for a little while. There's a couple of videos on the channel about it. But yeah, the EB's definitely a keeper. Usual story, guys. If you ever want to come on and join us on a live ranking, Derek, you have a permanent invitation. Same with you, Andy. I understand, Andy, that you caught up with our brother John Conklin at the EVH Con. He told me he caught up with you. Said you're a hell of a nice guy. Great community, great event. I think that that EVH Con's just going to grow and grow and grow. And obviously it's a pleasure, isn't it, to be involved in it here on our channel in any kind of way. Eddie Van Halen's huge influence in a lot of our lives. The CD version, Simon expanded with some different takes. Derek, I do like the one that came out in 94, 95, the extended version. That's my preference. That's the one that I listen to. And I think all those recordings, Derek, are on the 40th anniversary Super Deluxe edition that came out with a whole lot of other outtakes. That's, if you're a Derek and the Dominoes fan, that's the one that you've got to get on CD. Interesting that maybe we need to talk about this live. A good friend of mine was telling me in the weekend, I caught up with him, and he was watching some YouTube clips about streaming providers counseling films and music. And we saw that with David Lee Roth now. If you were relying on streaming services to listen to a different kind of truth, you're up shit creek now because you can't do it because it's been pulled. But if you've got a CD copy or the album, you can listen to it. And I understand that's what's happening a lot with streaming services. You may buy it and you've got it in your so-called cloud library, but it's not always going to be there. So, buy those DVDs and you've got the copy, and the same thing too with the CDs. At least, if you've got favourite albums and you can't get vinyl, get CDs. I think the CD market might start growing. What do you guys reckon? Simon's got the CD version, yeah. Hey, Jonas, good to see you, bro. Are people in New Zealand still listening to the La-Di-Das? The La-Di-Das, wow, you know your music. So the La-Di-Das were New Zealand's version of the Rolling Stones in the late 60s. They went to Australia. One of the first bands to break it in Australia. My mum loved the La-Di-Das. Huge band. They toured here in New Zealand extensively. Had a bit of a bad boy image. Probably one of the first bands to actually have that, because a lot of New Zealand acts right from the 50s and the 60s, they were all good fellows, good boys. The boy next door thing, spoke very proper. But the La-Di-Das were the mold breakers. And they did, like I say, they broke Australia. So any New Zealand act to break Australia is doing pretty well. You know your music, Jonas. And same thing too, Jonas, if you want to come on and guest host with the Rock Professor, Brad and I. We know that Brad's got a few gigs coming up, so there might be some slots available for just you guys to guest with the Rock Professor and I. So, yeah. Super Bowl Monday here in New Zealand. So if you're watching Super Bowl, I think that starts in 2 hours. So I've brought my iPad. I'm going for the 49ers. Going for the underdogs. Anyway, I'll let you guys go. Thanks for hanging out with us. Always appreciate all the support. Brad, Simon and I especially, we talk about it often. The fact that you guys are interested in the first place about anything that we say, from the Van Halen family that's associated with the show, John and Jimmy, Alan Garber, Tanner Jordan. It's amazing. Speaking about Tanner, so we're planning some stuff with Tanner. Tanner's a multi-instrumentalist, 23 years old. The guy can play bass, The guy can sing, the guy can play guitar, and the guy's an outstanding drummer. He's doing some analysis on Alex Van Halen's drumming style and technique and a lot of the gear that he's been using. And if you've been following our Van Halen shows, he's spoken about that to some degree, but not in depth. So we're going to be doing some really, really good stuff with Tanner. Real ultra nerdy stuff that I don't know, but we've always been intrigued by, because if we love rock and roll, we always know how important the rhythm section is, and the drummer especially. So having Tanner come on and talk about that and go in depth from an Alex Van Halen perspective, at least initially, would be great. I would love to have somebody come on. If you guys know anybody that is a Charlie Watts nut, or a Mick Fleetwood that knows the intricacies, the techniques and the gear of Charlie Watts or Mick Fleetwood, and you think they might love to come on and do a show with us, let me know. Would let them, the floor would be theirs. Hobo Roadie, good to see you, bro. Sorry we missed you just as we were winding up the show yesterday. You're right, Andy. You met him at EVH Con. Tanner is a beast. He worked his ass off at EVH Con. Absolutely. And such a nice guy. Such a nice guy. Just, he's a builder by trade, folks. So, you know, he's not a musician at all. He won't mind me telling you this too. And his education in music has been all the music that we've been listening to, and, you know, he thanks his parents. His favourite band is the Beatles. So, knows the Beatles. So I suggested to him, because he's a Beatles fan, maybe we could do a show later on in the year on Ringo Starr, which is something that he's going to work towards as well. So we've got those bases covered. Van Halen, Alex Van Halen, later on in the year, Ringo Starr, and maybe in between we might get somebody on that might be a Charlie Watts fanatic, a John Bonham fanatic. Look, we'll take anybody. Can I reiterate, we would love to do Rankin tracks of any album you'd like to do. Yeah, you just got to let us know what the album is. You know, there's a couple of, you know, we can't, you know, John ZD351 wants us to do Madonna's first album. Keeps on asking. Ain't going to happen. Yeah, we got to have some. What is it? We've got a reputation on this channel to look after, folks. No Madonna. Gonna run, fellas. Cheers, Andy. I'm gonna cruise too. I intend to hang out here at least once a week with you guys to let you know, especially what's going on with the channel anyway. So I'll keep you up to date with a couple of the guests that we're going to do on the Van Halen show on the channel. Keep that under your hat when we do get those guests coming through. I will put here later in this description on this video for you guys the book and the author of the guy that John's talking to, that we're going to have here talking about his Van Halen book. I think that's about it. Yeah. All right. God bless. Keep out of trouble, folks. As ever, we appreciate always the support you guys give us. Always humbling. always humbling. Thank you.